Hi, I'm Derek from Evans Hunt, and I'd like to show you today how to build a SilverStripe site using brick-based page building, or some of you may know it, page blocks, or in SilverStripe 4, they're calling it elements. So to get started, we're going to run PHP Composer to grab and install our SilverStripe project. Composer will grab all the dependencies needed to run SilverStripe, and it's going to take a little while. So Composer has installed all the dependencies for SilverStripe. To get SilverStripe up and running, we like to use Docker. So PHP is a LAMP-based application, so it's Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. So we just have a basic setup to run PHP that SilverStripe needs with a MySQL database server. And SilverStripe uses a .env file, and we've populated it with some default settings to connect to our Docker database. So let's copy that env file into SilverStripe and bring up our Docker application. All right, everything appears to be up and running. So let's visit localhost. And we're hitting a new SilverStripe site for the first time. So it's going to run a dev build, which actually generates its database tables. So we can see the output of that dev build. It's showing every table that was built. And so these are the default content types pages that ship with SilverStripe. So now we can visit our home page. And here's our site. This is the default SilverStripe theme. And in our .env file, we told that SilverStripe we're running in development and to use a default admin user. So let's log in as that user. And here's our SilverStripe site. And you can see any of these pages that are set to be published in the menu appear on our site. So let's go ahead and make some edits. Let's change our home page. Here's our content field. And we hit Save Draft to save our changes without actually publishing it to the live site. And Save and Publish to put our changes to the live site. This is just a demo, so we'll publish everything. Now when I look at my home page, I see the changes I've made. So we can add a page within our page hierarchy. Underneath home, we'll make it a generic content page. And we'll call it new page. Hit publish. And we can see now it's a second level page, so it's generated this new secondary nav. That's how this default SilverStripe theme works. And we can go to our new page. So what we like about SilverStripe, this page hierarchy, it shows you the contents of your site in a way that's intuitive for content authors. So let's go ahead and install the elemental module to give us those bricks, page blocks, elements, whatever you call it, the way to assemble really rich modular content in pages. So we'll use PHP Composer to grab the module and all its dependencies. So now that it's installed, we can extend our content page to have elemental enabled for it. So in our MySite directory, which is where our custom functionality lives, we have a mysite.yaml file, and this is where we can put in that extension. So for the page type, we'll add an extension, and it's the elemental module. And we're going to change our content page theme to show those elements that we add. And going back to our site, we'll run a dev build to update the database with the new fields that come from the Elemental module. Now let's go to our pages and see what we've done. So going back to the admin area, we'll pull up the new page we've created. And there's now this area where we can start adding elements or bricks or page blocks, whatever you want to call them. Elemental by default ships with a basic content element. So we'll go ahead and add a little content. So it's been created and we'll publish it. So going back to our page, we can see this is some content coming from our content brick. It's not very exciting, so let's go ahead and create some new bricks. So first, we'll come up with a template for one of our new elements. And let's do a block quote. And we also need to define a new element in code. So here's where we have custom models and controllers. So we'll add a model for our block quote element. So we have to include the base element from the module and then write a class that extends it. And this is all documented on the elements module, but we add a getType function to return the name of our element. And this is actually the bare minimum you need to get going with creating a new element. So we'll run dev build again, since we've added a new type of object into our database. So going back to our page, and we can see our content element's been added here. There's now a block quote element. So let's add that. And by default, elements have a title field. We'll just say quote, we won't choose to display it. We'll hit create, we can go back to our page, and we can see that it's in draft mode. So it's not actually published yet, but we'll publish the page. And we'll take a look. And here it is. There's the template we made. This seems to be the default styling that the SilverStripe default theme gives for block quotes. So let's put some fields into it. Let's make this customizable. So going back to our block quote element, we can now begin to add fields. So we'll add some simple fields to fill in the template. A quote field. And we specify what kind of type this would be in the database. And we'll do our quote attribution field. And we need to create an interface to edit those fields. And I'll just paste that in. And one of the really great things about building functionality this way, instead of using a CMS user interface, is we define all our fields in code, so it lives in source control, and it's really easy to spin up. I don't have to click through interfaces. I can actually copy and paste fields I've used from previous things I've built in SilverStripe, so it's really quick to get things going. And finally, we're using a new text fields class, so we have to reference it. And that should be everything we need. So we've added new fields that will go into the database. So we're going to have to run a dev build again. No errors in the log. Now let's go back to editing our page. Here's that quote we made. And now we can see the new fields we've added. And let's publish those changes. And if we go back to our template and hit refresh, and so nothing's changed, and that's because we've forgotten to update the template. So going back to our template for the block quote, we need to change the hard-coded content with what our fields are. So we have the field names here in our model definition. So we'll just use them here. And SilverStripe has a very straightforward templating engine to get at those fields. So let's hit save, and then going back to here, we just have to flush the cache so that we can load in our new template changes. This is great. Okay, so let's do another brick. We can spin these up pretty rapidly. So we've got time for another. So I'm going to do an image gallery. It's going to be a little more complicated. I'm going to spell it right too, because that's always handy. So rather than you watch me type out a lot of code, I'm going to paste it in and explain what I'm doing here. So just like our block quote element, we have a class that extends the base element. And instead of having a database text field, we're actually making a reference to another data object. And we're going to have to make that. So our image gallery is going to have many images, and we'll make a new class called image with caption. We've added a new field. It's called grid field, and it's a way of showing rows. So when we have a has many relationship where we show multiple images in our gallery, we use a grid field to manage editing those images. And we're going to say that it's an image gallery element. So when we add it to our page, we'll be able to see image gallery. So let's make that image with caption class. So here's the code for that. So like our block quote element, we have a text field. So we'll use that for our title. And we're also establishing a two-way relationship here. So we're saying that the parent of this image with caption is the image gallery element we just created. And we have a image class, which is built into SilverStripe, that allows the storing of images and does file handling. And finally, we're saying that this image with caption owns the image. So if this image with caption gets published, it will also publish its corresponding image. And we add the fields to the CMS. So there's our title field. We'll label it caption. We'll create an upload field for our image field, or image class. And we'll do some basic validation. We'll say that we only want PNGs and JPEGs for our images, and we'll have the images saved to the captioned images directory. And finally, we need to make a template for all this. So going back to our theme, we'll give a template for that image gallery class with the same name. And we'll make an unordered list. Using SilverStripe's theme syntax, we'll do a loop over images. And just to go back to our image gallery, you can see here we have one field, images. And it's a has many relationship, so we loop over them. So for every image we have, we're going to put it onto the screen. So within every image, it's a image with caption. Its fields are title, a parent, and an image. So we'll reference the image and grab its URL. do some basic styling. We'll add that title. We'll end our loop, and we'll end our unordered list, and hit save. So going back to our site, we're going to run a dev build. And we can see we have an image gallery element added. And going back to our page, let's add that into our page. There's image gallery. There's title. We'll just create it. So let's add our images. And of course I want to put puppies into a image gallery because it's the best thing. So we can see our one image is in this grid field, and we'll add another. And one more. And we can see all our images are in there. And now hit publish. And let's go to our page. And there's our image gallery and our block quote. And they're completely independent of each other. And so we can start to add lots of elements like this to create really rich pages with simple authoring experiences. And I can drag some things around. Move our content element down, save the changes, take a look, and now we can see our contents below our gallery. And we can do some neat stuff too, natively in SilverStripe. When we go into our gallery element, we can see the history around the edits of it. So the 3 changes I made as the default admin. SilverStripe comes with a really nice files system. And we can see that captioned images directory that we set in code as the location of where our files would go. And here are all our files. So that's how to get a SilverStripe site going with brick-based page building using the SilverStripe Elements module. As you can see, it's really quick, really rapid to start developing up new elements. And we find the authoring system very simple and intuitive for our users. So I hope this has been helpful for you. Thanks for watching.